Hello friends, welcome back to Liz's Reading Corner, or welcome if you're new here. I'm Liz and I like books, and today we are doing a mystery crime thriller sort of reading vlog. I have 4 books. I've actually started reading one of them and then thought that maybe I should actually do the introduction and get this out of the way. But yeah, I have 4 books that I'm going to be reading in this vlog, and I think 2 of them are new to me authors. 3 of them are new to me authors, and 1 I've read before. So we are reading Holly Jackson's Not Quite Dead Yet. I've not read anything from Holly Jackson. I have heard some really, really good things about their writing, but this is going to be my first Holly Jackson book. This is a new release, actually. This one's only just, I think, literally just been released, and I managed to get it very, very quickly from the library, which is why I've started reading it, and I already can understand why Holly Jackson's books are bingeable. Like, I am busting through this. It's so good. So this one is about Jet. Jet is 27 years old. She was a law major and has decided to come home because everything's just become too overwhelming, and her catchphrase, according to her mother, is later. She will get things done later. She'll do it later, and then one day she comes home and is violently attacked and suffers a horrendous injury. She survives the initial attack but gets told by doctors that she is going to die within the week, most likely because of like this piece of bone that is pressing against an artery in her brain. And so she has decided that the one thing she is going to dedicate the rest of her life to is solving her own murder. So it is actually, like I said, really good. My tassel is going all over the place. It is actually really good. It's very bingeable, and I am really enjoying it. I'm only, 123 pages in so far, but I am really enjoying this. So this one's probably going to be finished today, if I'm honest. I am enjoying it so much. I think I have an idea as to who the killer is, and I don't think it's who the police think it is, but we'll see. Then I have The Good Daughter by Karen Slaughter. I don't believe I have read any Karen Slaughter books. Oh my lord, the writing is tiny. This one is about Charlotte and Samantha, who live in a small town, and one day their life is torn apart because there's been an attack on their family. So they, I think, leave the town. Leave the town? No, they don't leave the town. No. So 28 years later, there is another attack, and the nightmare starts all over again. And so Charlotte has to relive the nightmare of the initial attack on her family, is what it seems to be. We'll see what this one's like. This one has tiny writing, and it's 500 pages. So this one might take a bit longer to read, but we'll see. I've not read Karen Slaughter either, that I can remember. I should probably double check that. And then we have Simone St. James, The Book of Cold Cases. I have read, what was it of hers that I read? The Sundown Motel. I loved The Sundown Motel, and I want to read a couple of more of her books just to see if she is a like auto-buy author or not. My library only has, I think, 3 or 4 of her books from memory. So I'm going to try and get as many of them as possible and just like read through them and see if we have a new favorite author or not. But this one I really dislike. Side note, when instead of putting what the book is about on the back, they put praise quotes. That just irritates me. Okay, so this one is a dual timeline. It's going to be, by the sounds of it, very similar to The Sundown Motel. So in 1977, there is a bunch of brutal murders. 2 men have been killed. An eccentric rich woman is the main suspect, but she manages to flee, but then she's acquitted. and so she stays in isolation on her in her mansion. And then in 2017, there is a crime blogger who is trying to solve cold cases, who meets... Interesting. She meets the original the initial suspect, and I guess they try... Oh yeah, and so she tries to see if the original suspect is actually the person who committed the murders, or whether it's not, whether it's somebody else. So essentially it's kind of the same thing as the Sundown Motel. There was this horrible murder decades ago, and someone is now trying to solve it in the future. So I wonder if that's what all of her books are like. I'm a little bit concerned, because it's one thing to have like a formula that you like to follow for your books, but if they're all the same story, essentially, that's a bit... We'll see. And lastly, we have... This is a large print, so this feels like a bigger book than it is. The Savage Noble Death of Babs Dion by Ron Curry. Again, I've not read anything by Ron Curry, but this one is about Babs, who is a matriarch. She controls the flow of drugs into Little Canada, apparently. And one day her family starts dying. So a drug kingpin discovers that his numbers are down, so obviously he thinks someone is stealing money, and her family starts to die. Interesting. Okay, so this is meant to be a murder mystery, I think. But is this a new release? This one is also a new release, and I don't know, I guess we'll see. I don't normally go for the mob murder mystery books, but I can't remember why I got this. I think someone suggested it. Maybe one of the librarians suggested it. So yeah, we'll see. I'm in a real murder mystery mood right now, I guess. Murder mystery, horror, I'm just in a reading mood. So these are the books that we are reading in this vlog, and I will be back shortly with some updates. Alright, quick update. I have finished Not Quite Dead Yet by Holly Jackson. I think I may have a new favorite author. This was amazing. This was so good. I thought I had figured out what the twist was, and while I figured out who it was in relation to, did not pick the twist. I really, really loved this. I don't even know if I introduced it. So this one follows Jet, who is a 27-year-old who has left university. We would call it university. I don't know what it is. She's trying to do a law degree, whatever that is. And so she left her law degree because she's basically had kind of like a mental breakdown. She is... I don't want to say exactly. I think it never... Yeah, cool. It doesn't say it on the back, so I won't go there. But she is just basically trying to live up to her parents' expectations. And so she has like all of these... she has high standards. That's what it is. So she has very high standards for herself because she's trying to live up to her parents' expectations. And that just leads to her having a mental breakdown. And she's just like, well, I'm done. I'm not doing this. I'm coming home. And one of her mother's pet peeves with her is that her thing or her catchphrase is later. I'll do it later. I'll get to it later. I'll just eventually do it later. But one day she comes home. So it's Halloween night. She comes home from like this fete this fair that her family, I think it is, put on, and she is attacked in her home, and she's not quite dead, but she has an injury, like a catastrophic injury, and so she spends the last week of her life trying to solve her own murder. And it is actually really, really interesting how this is done, because like typically you would not have someone trying to investigate their own murder and like they'd be dead, right? So I really like this take on it. It was phenomenal, honestly. I could not stand Jet's parents, but that could be because they just remind me of my own. So yeah, and her brother, her sister-in-law is insufferable. Her sister-in-law, you find out very early in the book, her sister-in-law was her best friend, and then when she went to college, they just kind of like lost touch, and then her sister-in-law ended up like getting with her brother, and they got married, and they have a child, and the sister-in-law is awful. Gosh, I disliked her immensely. I'm so glad that my in-laws are amazing. My sisters-in-law and my brother-in-law, or brothers-in-law, because I have quite a few of them. My husband's got quite a few siblings. They are all amazing. So I've never been more thankful to have such amazing in-laws, especially after reading this and the things that the sister-in-law gets up to. It's disgusting. But yeah, so I absolutely enjoyed this. I need to go and just read all of Holly Jackson's works. So I'm going to be going to the library and reserving a whole bunch of Holly Jackson books. And yeah, because new favorite author. And I gave this one 5 stars. Then I tried to read these two. So I've never read Ron Curry. This is The Savage Noble Death of Babs Dion. Babs Dion is basically like a mobster. She's like a crime matriarch. She commits a very violent crime on a very deserving person in her younger years. And because I think her younger years are set in like the 60s or 70s in New York, when a time where there was not very much law enforcement happening. And in fact, the law enforcement were part of the problem. And so she commits a violent crime against a very deserving person. Then I think she has to run away for a while and then come back. And yeah, it just, I don't know. I read, there's like an introduction, and it doesn't help that this is a large print, but the introduction was just so long. It was like 30 or 40 pages long. And it was, yeah, 40 when we get to it, 47 pages. So the introduction was 47 pages long. That was literally just the introductory chapter, and it was so uninteresting to me, especially after reading Not Quite Dead Yet. Put this way you can actually see it. So especially after reading this did not hold my interest. So I ended up DNFing this one. And then I tried to pick up The Good Daughter by Karen Slaughter, and yeah, this one also did not really hold my interest. I didn't even make it as far through, as the Babs Dion book, but this one also just did not hold my interest. So God, I can't even remember what this one was about. That's how uninteresting. Oh, that's right. So this one, the father of the family is a defense attorney, and their house has been burnt down, and they think that is because this is all in the first chapter. They think it's because that someone wanted retribution for the father getting either a criminal off, or because he's just like, he defends criminals. He doesn't care who they are, he just defends them. So or like what their crime is, like whatever they've done wrong, he will still defend people regardless. So yeah, I don't know. The kids were just not, because most of this is told basically from the point of view, or at the very start of the book, it's told from the point of view of the children. And so I think I got up to the part where, so they're attacked, the girls are attacked, and so the house burns down, they have to move to, I think it's like some abandoned or like some deceased estate, and they're attacked in that estate because of something to do with the father. So it was not very interesting to me. Can you tell? I just did not enjoy it in the slightest. It just wasn't for me. I don't know if it's because I read Not Quite Dead Yet and I enjoyed it so much. Probably should not have started with that one, and I may have actually finished these two. But yeah, after reading Not Quite Dead Yet, so after reading Holly Jackson, these just did not really interest me. So I ended up DNFing both of these, and now I just have to read The Book of Cold Cases by Simone St. James, and we'll see how this one goes. I have, like I said, read The Sundown Motel. And this one kind of reads very similar to that. It's like a very similar vibe where it's like someone in the future who is trying to solve like a cold case, but also with ghosts, or at least that's how it kind of comes across as. Why they really need to stop. My God, they really need to stop. I know this is a hardcover, and so the synopsis is going to be on the inside here, but they really need to stop putting the like praise author quotes or people's quotes on the back of books. I'm just not interested in it. Yeah, this one also gives ghosty vibes. So I'm gonna go read this, and I will be back very shortly for you, but probably in a couple of days for me, depending on how this weekend goes. I will be back with more thoughts on this one. Okay. Oh, I've got hair everywhere. I am shedding something shocking. I actually did finish. There was no more DNFs. No more DNFs for this vlog. 2 is quite a lot. Especially for one vlog, I've been really ruthless with my DNFs this year. I think that with these 2 books, it makes either 18 or 20 DNFs roughly this year. I'll have to look into it. I'm sure it has been a year for DNFs, clearly. I just am not interested in reading books that I'm not interested in, and I'm done with forcing myself to finish reading books. So, ruthless. But anyway, The Book of Cold Cases by Simone St. James. This was pleasantly surprising. It was not as good as Not Quite Dead Yet, but I do enjoy Simone St. James's writing. It is actually really good. This one, I was right, does have very similar vibes to The Sundown Motel. So we are following, I've forgotten her name already, Shay Collins. So Shay is a receptionist by day, and at night in her spare time she runs this true crime blog, and she writes about obviously true crime. One of the most famous cases in her area is the lady killer. So there was 2 men who were shot in the face and just left for dead, or they obviously were dead. Each man had a note left on his body, and the police are convinced that it was a woman who killed them because the writing is too feminine to be anything other than a woman. They believe, because I think she was seen leaving the scene of the crime, that it is this 23-year-old girl named Beth Greer. Her parents, so her father was killed in the home and her mother died in a tragic accident, so she is orphaned at 23 years old, and because she just basically doesn't take anyone's shit, she is seen as like cold and aloof and basically everything that they would expect a murderess to be in the 1970s. So she gets charged, she goes to trial, and her lawyer gets her acquitted, and so she has spent 40 years just living with this title of murderess over her head, and she's just never really spoken to anyone. She doesn't have friends or anything like that. And then one day she walks into Shay's work, and Shay takes a chance and just follows her and starts talking to her and is like, I'd like to interview you. And for the first time in 40 years, Beth says yes. And so what follows is like a really twisty, sort of intricate story of what actually happened in 1970s, or in the 1970s, because it spans basically the entirety of the 1970s. But also we find out what happened to those 2 men in, sorry, that the light is really, because it's a hardcover, they've contacted the entire book instead of just the spine, and so it is really, really shiny. But yeah, so we learn what happened not just in the 1977 to those 2 men, but for the entirety of like Beth's life. And it all does get wrapped up in a neat little bow, but it does also have that element of like haunted house, or like the ghosty vibe, or the ghosty element, I guess, that we also have in the Sundown Motel. So, and I think this one was written first. So, sorry, the Sundown Motel was written first. But I guess because the Sundown Motel got such good reviews overall, and was like such a success. She has just run with it in this one too. So I didn't enjoy this one as much as I enjoyed the Sundown Motel, but I did really enjoy it, and I did finish it, which is something considering I DNF'd 2 other books. So I gave this one, what did I give it, 4 stars? I think it was 4 stars. Maybe 4.25. I could possibly put it up to a 4.25. Definitely not 4.5. Definitely not 5 stars. Not 5 stars, like Not Quite Dead Yet. That was amazing. And I think it's because it's basically the same kind of story as a Sundown Motel, so it's kind of like I've read it before, it's just a completely different setting. So it's not bad. It is a really good book. It's a good story. It's just not as exciting. So that is this vlog. I hope you enjoyed it. I really, if anything, out of all of the books that I read, which is only 2 because of DNFs, I would absolutely recommend you pick up Not Quite Dead Yet by Holly Jackson. That's her new release for this year. It was so good. I think I'm going to end up doing maybe a dedicated like Holly Jackson reading vlog just to read through some more of her work, because she is definitely up there just based on that one book, an auto by author for me. So definitely going to be getting into more of her stories. What did you think? Have you read any of these books? I would love to hear your opinion on them if you have. If you have any authors or any books that you think I would enjoy, please let me know in the comments down below. I appreciate you for making it this far in the vlog, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.